Kuzangpla and welcome to Bhutan This Week, our weekly news magazine program. First, the top stories. His Majesty the King graces the opening ceremony of the Parliament. The Prime Minister reminds the people that complacency will be costly for Bhutan as more infectious strains of the coronavirus grip the region. And Tirang suggests limiting the import of vegetables during peak seasons. And now the story in details. His Majesty the King graced the opening ceremony of the 5th session of the 3rd Parliament. His Majesty was received in a traditional Chibdril's procession. Her Majesty the Gelsin, Her Royal Highness Princess Yupilma Chodonwangchuk and His Royal Highness Prince Ugin Jigmewangchuk also graced the occasion.
The Speaker of the National Assembly, on behalf of the parliamentarians, expressed gratitude to His Majesty for gracing the ceremony and for tirelessly travelling to high-risk areas to protect people from COVID-19.
Ngachira dube mitsetso rangi dyune khalepa rangi namiza satsuda chika saja dunyemeba sago nosaza tungo nosatung nyam katotobedu gyagopki ulha Jutsugi Nob, Miwa Nadarim Bochecho, Podana Shuni Paja, Sutoya Julomeba, Gakabda Misegi, Saja Dunya Gaira, Miwa Nadarim Boche, Kunyachagi Namde, Neam Nyangokda, Tablamda Devi, Netang Zijibda De, Leje Suchungi, Tumitsuda, Mimanglo, Galopta Lamdun, Zin Nam Nasara Yu, Sishuni.
He also thanked His Majesty for the Relief Kidu and Desung program, which has benefited many. Following the opening ceremony of the Parliament, His Majesty also graced the opening of the National Council, which was held for the first time in the new hall at the National Convention Centre. The building now houses the National Council Hall and offices. The Parliament session will end on the 30th of next month. Samtan Dolkar, PBS News.
For the first time, Bhutan assumed the presidency of the World Health Assembly. The Health Minister Tishnwangmo was officially elected as the president of the 74th World Health Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland on 24th May. The World Health Assembly is the highest decision-making body of the World Health Organization, where delegates from almost 200 countries meet every year to agree on the organization's priorities and policies.
Delivering her presidential address at the session, Limpo emphasized on multilateral cooperation and global vaccine solidarity in the fight against the coronavirus.
It is time now for the global community to come together as one to ensure that every country in the world gets sufficient doses of the COVID-19 vaccine to vaccinate every eligible citizen. We must remember that only solidarity and science, and not solitude, will get us out of this pandemic.
While this year's World Health Assembly was held virtually in light of the current global situation, Health Minister Dechinwangmo was invited to chair the assembly in person as president. A 4-member delegation led by Lempo left the country last week. The Health Minister was nominated as the President of the 74th World Health Assembly by member states of the WHO Southeast Asia region last year. She will hold office for 1 year. Besides chairing the Assembly, Lempo will also meet the relevant international organizations. At the Assembly, new health goals and strategies are set and tasks are assigned to reach those goals. Delegations consider and guide policies and courses of action which are then coordinated by the Secretariat. The week-long assembly will discuss over 70 health issues and reports on COVID-19 response and preparedness across the world. This is Pasung Doji for BBS News.
Hotels operating as facility quarantine in Sarpang will no longer be allowed to entertain walk-in customers or catering services. This is as per the notification the district's COVID-19 task force issued a week ago. In view of the surging positive cases in the country and the bordering areas, the task force reviewed the standard operating procedures and stepped up its surveillance.
With the new SOP disallowing walk-in customers and catering services in facility quarantine, some hoteliers are concerned.
In the past, we used to get at least 5 people a month staying in the quarantine facilities, but now it's reduced to 2. We have to pay the house rent and staff salary, so it's going to be difficult for us. Even if they do not allow the restaurants to allow walk-in customers, we would be grateful if they allow the takeaway service.
It has been 3 days that we identified a separate pickup point for food. With this, those staying in quarantine do not come in contact with the customers or the hotel staff. It would be better if it's kept this way.
With the new SOP, the hotel staff on duty shall remain zero contact with and exposure to those in quarantine. They should also ensure minimal interaction with their family members at all times. The owners and staff of hotels providing the 21-day quarantine for incoming people should stay in containment. The hotels must identify a pickup and drop point for essential supplies as well. Besides, as a precaution, those staying in the quarantine centers are restricted from coming out of the balconies. As a bordering town and with the worrying COVID-19 situation in the region, Sarpang remains highly vulnerable to community outbreak of the coronavirus. For Karmawandi in Sarpang, Tsingzam, PBS News.
As neighboring countries report a daily surge in COVID-19 cases, Bhutanese should exercise extreme caution and strictly abide by the health safety norms. The Prime Minister, Dr. Lotus Sring, once again reminded that the current strain of the virus is far more infectious, and for a small country like Bhutan, complacency will be costly.
According to international media reports, for almost a week now, India has been reporting more than 200,000 fresh cases of the coronavirus every day. The situation is no better in other neighboring countries such as Bangladesh, Nepal and Sri Lanka. Hospitals are overwhelmed and oxygen in short supply. And since recently, with the country reporting positive cases from the bordering areas, the event is a stark reality that the wave is pressing hard from all corners.
마치 침자 계약합이 세워진 가라나로 님지오 저도 세슈니빌 도sam기 당가치리기 침자 계약합도 제가 산삼유미 사고 디수 가라나레 니제디 주니 구츠다일라 다 디기 니제디기 부주소바친 마치리기 마시블레 미데나 주소바친 마치리기 침자 계약합도 저도 주메 마치나 조디 테리 바리 세슈니비 니제디기 냥카디 지수 조미데 붓디기 남주디 주조데라
The Prime Minister reminded people to be extra cautious and wear face masks, frequently wash hands using soap and maintain physical distancing.
dekagi puradi pu banagi satodi domcheda dodechi jadabachin daredi nijetigi ralu nyuni zumbe mije se shunibela da hanimchi tulu sage jedigibe zema chubachin de nilepalu teta yupji zawo sumnu cha shabdodi gadibi shunga se dokpae saume se shunibi dere chati chamitani기 왜 파퓨첩 자수비기 좀더 루르베와진 dere 제마나세 뭐바 메베세 미세기 디 차샵도 미슈에 생각슈 멘다 되보다 좀더 루르디 디 마베스미 따똑 베미디기 마토마친 베답 좀집에 데베베메레 샤유라 단수기 될로 슈도이.
As the pandemic peaks, the Health Ministry is also urging everyone to cooperate and adhere to the COVID-19 safety protocols at all times. This is Ringdandup for BBS News.
A 12-year-old girl who was allegedly raped gave birth on Tuesday in Samdronker. Police have arrested a 35-year-old man as the suspect. The girl is a student. According to sources, the girl had kept her pregnancy secret and delivered the baby at home. However, she visited a BHU when the baby's health started to decline. The health officials then informed the Gyeok administration, who then notified the police. The married man is the girl's neighbor. The recent fire incident at the girls' hostel of Mongar Higher Secondary School has called for proper fire safety measures in schools. It was found that the school's hostels did not have any such precautions in place, and its electrical lines were in need of a major facelift.
Some girls staying in the hostel suspect the fire to have started from one of the tube lights. They claimed that there was a damaged tube light in the unit the fire damaged.
I I think the fire started from the tube light. Last time when our captains went to change the bulbs, they found a malfunctioning tube light. So maybe that's from where the fire started. After the incident, we learned that the fire started from the edge of the tube light and not from a socket.
The structure is too old and the electrical system wasn't in a good condition. Like my friend said, we, the captains and the matron, tried to fix the issues related to lights in the hostel, but we couldn't fix them all. Every time we face an electrical problem, we report it to the school captain and the matron. Since we have a separate hostel budget, we replace the damaged bulbs and the tube lights ourselves with instruction from the matron.
The fire on 17th May completely damaged a unit of the school's girls' hostel. It also drew the attention of netizens, with some questioning the condition of its electrical lines since the hostel was built in 1983. Meanwhile, it was found that some sockets, switch boxes and electrical wires in the 4-unit boys' hostel were damaged. According to the students, it is high time the school management looks into the matter.
When the school was first established, there might not have been a good electrification system. So now, if the faulty lines and paths were fixed, we might have prevented the recent fire incident.
Some switch boxes in the hostel are in a good condition, but others are damaged. The tube lights are working, but some wires towards the end of the room need repair. The electrical lines in the boys' hostel should also be relooked to avoid fire or other accidents.
The school's principal said the electrical system is maintained whenever required. However, no one reported the damaged tube light in the girls' hostel to the management.
If they had the problem associated with that, maybe we should consider that as the cause. As such, as per the management is concerned, we do have the system wherein the respective in charges or the prefects report to the school management so that the school management carry out the maintenance instantly or depending on the time that is available.
He added, at the moment, the school management does not have the budget to carry out a major renovation of the school's electrical lines.
As and when we need, we do definitely attend to the call, especially such as replacing the bulbs, tubes and small repair and maintenance of the electrical linings. But as such, the major maintenance of the electrical linings in the school so far has not been carried out.
The principal, however, acknowledged the need for fire safety measures in schools and the importance of preparing students for fire disasters.
We are already thinking that we will, if not to all the students, we will at least try to provide this education. Like if we have the fire extinguisher, how to make use of it, I think should be known by the individuals who reside.
The recent fire incident has come as a reminder to have proper fire safety measures in schools. And going by what many observers said, the problem is not isolated to just one school in the country. For Sonam Sring in Mongar, Sring Dandu for BBS News.
The export market of the made in Bhutan products recorded a substantial decline last year. The MOEA's recently launched CSI market was unable to tap its full potential due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The projected revenue is also estimated to fall short by almost 90%. It has, however, been doing well in the local market.
To keep up with the demand for face masks in the domestic market, this fashion studio is now producing face masks at the startup center in Thimphu. The made in Bhutan products seem to have caught the eyes of many local people. The first and only cottage and small-scale industries or CSI market in the country recorded an increase of 25% increase in sales of local products in the domestic market compared to the past years.
I wanted to start small, so I started with the face mask. First, I've been selling my products through social media like Instagram. It wasn't that good. Like we had like 3-4 customers, But when CSI market gave me the platform, my market took a rise.
The CSI market is currently one of the government's flagship programs. The project was initiated by the Ministry of Economic Affairs in collaboration with Druxels, an online trade platform. It also handles the management of the CSI market.
For the local producers, what we do is we give them the platform to market and sell their products, both on online platform and on the retail platform at the CSI market. We have a lot of Bhutanese who are very keen to support, both from the buyers' angle as well as from the vendors' side.
He added the restrictions and lockdowns, both regional and international, imposed by the pandemic severely affected the export market. The market's sales target of 10 million Yultrum in the first year doesn't look too promising.
We have some international importers who buy from us, so they were very hesitant and reluctant to take on the products because of the restrictions imposed. So that's why we almost hit 90% of exports went down last year.
With the entrepreneurship culture picking up in the country, the CSI market has a range of more than 600 local products on the shelves and over 250 enterprises availing the platform. The potential of this market to generate employment and revenue looks promising. So what the market is asking for now is a robust support system which doesn't just cover the financial aspect but also facilitate the entire trade channel with an efficient entrepreneurial ecosystem. With camera person Sagi Chopel, this is Ishitoji, PBS News.
Known as the country's vegetable hub, Tserang has more than 2,000 farmers engaged in vegetable production. Considering this, its local leaders at the last Dzongkhok Tsokdo proposed limiting vegetable imports from India during peak seasons. They said controlling the imports will not only solve marketing issues for the farmers, but also allow them to grow more varieties of vegetables.
Farmers in Tserang grow almost all varieties of vegetables due to the district's favorable climatic conditions. And in the wake of the pandemic, as imports were restricted, the vegetable production increased. Local leaders said limiting vegetable imports is a timely intervention to encourage farmers at home.
Our farmers are already into mass vegetable production due to the pandemic. If not for other districts, I am sure vegetables from Tserang will be able to meet the local demands. Minimizing vegetable import will be of great benefit to our farmers.
Often, our farmers complain vegetable shops in Dampu are flooded with imported vegetables. They say this has led to difficulty in selling their organic vegetables. It is high time to take necessary interventions. If not, our farmers will be discouraged to grow vegetables. We should impose import restrictions on vegetables which are available in Tserang.
If there is a restriction on vegetables from India, we are hopeful of getting better prices for our organic vegetables. We are motivated to work harder when we get good prices. But when there is a free inflow of vegetables from India, we face marketing issues.
According to the Bhutan Agriculture and Food Regulatory Authority's records, the district imports at least 5 metric tons of vegetables weekly. Potato and onion topped the list.
If we impose import restrictions on vegetables, which we have here, our farmers will not face marketing issues. This will encourage more farmers to upscale vegetable production. At the moment, our farmers cannot sell carrots and okra because there is no import restriction for these two vegetables from India. When our farmers cannot sell their produce, they stop growing such vegetables.
The Dzongkhok Tsokdo decided to discuss the possibilities of implementing the proposal in the next meeting. Mendegan, Sergitan, Patsaling, Gosarling and Solinkar Gyeoks are the major vegetable producers in the district. For Pema Tsehong in Tserang, Sunampem for BBS News.
The government plans to revise land and building taxes. The Finance Ministry aims to introduce the property tax bill in the winter session of the Parliament. Today, people pay very nominal land and property tax rates.
People in Thimphu pay 217 Yitam per decimal as land tax for commercial areas and 108 Yitam per decimal for residential areas. and buildings in urban areas pay a nominal rate of property tax based on the number of rooms. Although the property value has increased significantly, Bhutan still uses the 1992 taxation policy.
ema namlo chilo chitong gubje gubchu ko ni lu thomde semidi kachina thomde gi phika semi kachina ji ngacharang ema ngitsik dubala definition. So as per the definition be watching the a 3 kilometer radius away from Thombo watching the Thom rural jumba. So with the rapid expansion and urbanization of many Zonghak Thoms, most of the areas which currently falls under Zonghak Thom are being categorized as a rural area in terms of tax collection. So hani ambiguity biases tundibi.
Many experts also cited the policy as a bottleneck. With the minimal tax, local governments, including Thomdes, cannot often carry out developmental activities required by urban policies. As a result, many activities remain unfulfilled or quality compromised. But that might change sooner or later. The tax will be value-based.
So, on value-based way of doing the ro ani value di nga chagi tax rate determine be dile value the chika multiply be ta me gole it will be applied uniform across the board la. Right now pebe shugela that depsi timpu gi depsi lu be ocean depsi as per 1992 RTP falls under rural area, whereas if you look into the infrastructure development it has already become the urban core within Timbutom. But in terms of land tax they continue to pay rural tax bidaba.
But some landowners say the change should be inclusive.
The country jachale ki di atu mena asela. The tele loga to be galen toya banglu didati the chimi khala tebara ki agobe the matoban the rule kishanu the ruin yemetu. The yagi chimi gi ani country gi percentage di asima popsuchi be the rujungi take agomide asia senda wachin 아니니 기념도 도지 조미소가 세비기 투지인사 주니라.
데 테디디 피고베 담바 피고다 중로데 로 갈레옹마 모슬랑가지 나메 라베고베 데바랑가지 나강게 담바디 다 추디 다 칭하였다 슈도숨베 다 추디 다 간타 케지지미 원래 다 토바 간타 숨데지 니마 간타 숨데지 퓨루 간타 숨데지 나습지 델레니바디 뎁샹히디 투사나 틱티베 바습지 숨서다 델레 찹사기 수브레지기 안에수데 다 힌사사베 Balu and the block head, you miss it, the Joji, Ashuchi, say, Subchi. The Anikangasu said about Chindi did it, that they did if you were the Rojo and the Ulysses Rotangove.
The Finance Ministry will first present the bill to the Cabinet. Samton Dolker, BBS News.
The yield this year is good, but would it mean equally encouraging returns? This is one question lingering in the minds of potato farmers of Jalachuk in Wandafodang these days. Unlike past seasons, most buyers are neither placing orders in advance nor agreeing to take the crop later due to the COVID-19 situation.
Jala is unusually quiet this harvest season. Fewer trucks coming to the village to transport potatoes and hardly any negotiations happening with the buyers. In the fields, farmers continue to dig out potatoes only to be stored in sacks and wait.
Earlier,
we first discussed with the buyers over the phone. Later, they would visit our village and take the potatoes. But this time, no buyers have come so far because they have to stay in quarantine while coming from Gelefu and other high-risk areas. They do not want to incur extra expenses to come and buy potatoes from here.
We have to
manage expenses for the upcoming paddy cultivation works with the income from selling potatoes. We have to pay the hiring charge for a power tiller and do other shoppings. Without a buyer, our harvest will rot in our homes. We need to own a vehicle if we are to transport the crop ourselves.
Making matters worse, there's no time. The paddy transplantation season is approaching. The farmers will have to start preparing the fields, which today are filled with potatoes.
Our
Our potatoes will rot as we keep piling them at home. It is difficult to find a vehicle to transport our harvest because the road's condition worsens during summer. Carrying them on our backs is equally challenging.
Normally, by this time, we would have transported 2 to 3 truckloads of potatoes. But this time, due to the pandemic, there is no one coming to buy our potatoes. We reach some of the harvest till the roadside and we have some more at home. We harvested the potatoes a little earlier so they rot easily.
But there's an assurance from the district administration. An official says the season to harvest potatoes in the village just began, and the office will help the farmers market their product through collaborations with schools and institutions. It is also exploring other alternatives to ensure the farmers fetch a good price. There are more than 35 households in Jala Chiwak that produce 5 truckloads of potatoes this year. They are expecting more this time. For Changadoji in Wandipurang, Ishidoji, PBS News.
And this brings us to the end of this edition of Bhutan This Week. You can find this magazine program on our YouTube channel. And until next time, I'm Chiku, signing off only for now.